What's up, Juventini? Alberto here. I got all your Juventus news, all right? Our targets dropping like flies. We're going to take a look at the latest reports for Juve bringing in targets in the winter mercado, all right? And then Paul Pogba, the saga is very close to coming to an end as now we finally see what's going to play out. And then we've got to talk about our lineup as we have a couple of question marks heading into this big matchup on Friday against Napoli. Then we're going to talk about fans' feelings after Inter and Napoli yesterday. So like the video, subscribe to the channel. This is the AJC. Let's rock. We're going to kick things off with Paul Pogba, right? So latest reports suggest that Paul Pogba and his lawyers will in fact take the plea deal. However, that plea deal is going to see him face a 2-year ban. With that 2-year ban, once the ruling comes in, Juventus will in fact terminate his contract. Paul Pogba 2.0 coming to an end, and this return has been nothing short of an absolute nightmare. All right. And that's why I say now player returns, no more. Not for me. All right. Outside of players, we could talk, but player returns, no thank you. Not going to sell me on it anymore. Now we get to our targets. All right. And they appear to be dropping like flies when it comes to the winter mercado. All right. So more rumors claiming that Udinese will not release Lazar Samardzic in the winter mercado. All right. Mirko Di Natale also brings us news about Sudakov, who is one of our targets at around 50 million euros, saying that that price tag is not accurate and Shakhtar is actually looking for 30 million euros. All right. So we have those players dropping out. Fabian Ruiz was another name linked to Juventus. He has suffered a shoulder injury, which according to reports will take his name out of the mix. All right, so it's looking pretty bleak, and the whole time you've got a name like Bernardeschi floating around, and that's why I say that's what it might come to. Jadon Sancho, still Manchester United would have to pony up a ton, but reports today also suggest that Sancho's waiting to see what happens internally at Manchester United, so it's looking pretty bleak. We might not get any action in the winter mercado, all right? But there are some contradicting reports and other sources that state, yes, Juve will in fact bringing in one of Kone or Samardzic and a surprise name into the mix. All we can do is sit around and wait. But there was a great question asked in Storm the Barn on our last live podcast from Mark 1. That's his YouTube handle. We didn't have enough time on the live show, but we tackled it in the green room. And of course, that's available to our AJC membership members. But the question was, if Juve doesn't bring any top additions in or any additions in the winter mercado, do you still believe we have a chance in the Scudetto? Hey, short answer, yes. We're already there with what we currently have. Do I believe we can remain there and still have a shot at taking this thing down? Absolutely yes. But for me, if we find the right addition, it would go a long way in elevating our game. Can we elevate our game with the current players we have? Is there something that's there with the current lineup that we could tweak to maybe help excel? I believe there is, and we're going to tackle that in a bit here because we still have to talk about a couple targets. And Mirko Di Natale says that Sule, he can confirm, has been eyed up by some Premier League teams, but Juventus will not sell the player even if an offer of 25 million euros comes in. Okay, so Sule remaining with Juventus is what all early signs point to. Felipe Anderson linked to Juventus, but at season's end, because his contract is going to be expiring with Lazio, he would be a free agent. I'm going to tell you right now, this one doesn't do anything for me, and I think we should be striving much higher. That's just me. Hit me in the comments with what you think of Felipe Anderson. Now, we got to get to our lineup. We got a big game coming up against Napoli, all right? So Weah should be back on the team list. I do not expect him to be starting in this game. Danilo finds himself returning. He got minutes against Monza at the regista role, all right? And he apparently could be starting against Napoli. But the question is, does he sit Gatti? Does he sit Sandro? First of all, it shouldn't be Sandro that he's sitting. It'd be Rugani. Rugani has done more than enough to earn the spot ahead of Sandro, all right? Danilo's position maybe being in question and has been with how good Gatti, Bremer, and Rugani have done. For me, that's the three I go with against Napoli. Danilo can return against Genoa, all right? But he's coming back off an injury. You played him against Monza, but you didn't play him in one of the three center back roles, which I found odd if you're going to look to be starting him against Napoli. So I would not do it. I would go Gatti, Bremer, Rugani against Napoli. Do you agree, disagree? Hit me in the comment section. But the midfield, like we were talking earlier about that great question that was sent in, does Juve have a chance at taking down Scudetto and possibly Coppa Italia without any additions? I said yes, but any additions would go a long way in elevating our play. But can we elevate our play with what we have? Hans Nicolucci Caviglia might be slated to start again against Napoli. Locatelli may not be ready to start, but even if Locatelli can find himself in the starting lineup, does anybody else have enough trust in Caviglia to play him where he's been playing and use Locatelli as a mezzala? Maybe this can help elevate our influence and impact out of the midfield that we have been starving for. Rabiot's performance against Monza, we need consistently from here on out if we want to remain in this title hunt. But Locatelli as a mezzala, you guys know where I stand. I see him as two-man pivot, but I would definitely choose him over the alternatives in that spot. And Caviglia has proven he can play in that role. Some of the AJC members didn't think they would do that against Napoli. And for me, the test has already been passed. Inter was the most challenging test he'll face. Against Napoli, I have no fear with Caviglia playing there. And if Locatelli can go, I'd probably play him there. The other kicker to this is that would put McKennie on the flank on the right side, marking Kvara, which I think would be better than having Cambiaso there marking him and Gatti there. Kvara is the kind of player that Gatti will struggle with, and I'd rather have McKennie supporting him there than Cambiaso. That's just me. Would you guys do that? Hit me in the comments section. And last, with the Inter-Napoli result yesterday, a lot of fans losing faith, losing hope that we are not going to be able to do this. I've seen tweets out there, all right, from journalists even that supported Juventus saying that that's it. It's game over. We're at round 14 and we're 2 points out. It is far from game over. Even if this Friday result doesn't go in our favor, it is far from over. There's a ton of football left to play. And yeah, it's fino alla fine for a reason. I'm not giving up already because of that game yesterday. That game could have also gone the opposite direction. But one thing nobody's talking about with Napoli is the fact that they have conceded a lot of goals this season. While everyone wants to talk about coach this, coach that, and scoring goals, etc., Napoli has already conceded 17 goals through 14 games this season. In all of last season's league play, they conceded 28. They're only 11 away from the amount they've conceded in last season's entirety. Juve, I'll put Juve's defense right there, neck and neck with Inter's. And as long as we remain tough to crack, absolutely, we should be in the mix the whole way through. I think Napoli is going to have a tough time cracking us on Friday. And yes, we will very, very much have our opportunities as they are leaky at the back. I expect a good game, though. For us, it's going to come down to Bremer having his hands filled with Osimhen. And he's going to have to shut him down, all right? And that will be a task. But Kvara is also not the Kvara of last season. We still have to be aware, but for me, you really got to shut down Osimhen. It's going to be a great game, but hey, this league, this Scudetto race, far from over. It could go down to the wire, and oh man, I would love it. Okay, I'd obviously love it decided well before, but if we had another Cinque Maggio, I'm all for it. Hit me with your thoughts, your feelings, everybody in the comment section. Let's mix it up. This wraps up your update for today. I'll be back tomorrow as always, all right? Till then, fino alla fine, forza Juve. Ciao tutti.